demand and supply. For this topic, we will discuss demand, supply, market equilibrium, shocks to the equilibrium, effects of government intervention, and when to use the supply demand model. We will discuss first the demand. Consumer decide whether to buy a particular good or services, and if so, how much to buy based on its price and on other factors, including their income, the prices of the other goods, their taste, and the information they have about the product. But before that, let's discuss some terminologies related to demand. Income. Income plays a major role in determining what and how much to purchase. People who suddenly inherit great wealth might be more likely to purchase expensive Rolex watches or other luxury items. When a consumer income rises, the consumer will often buy more of many goods. The price of related good might also affect consumers' buying decisions. Related goods can either be substitute or complements. Substitute are pair of goods or services for which an increase in the price of one causes a consumer to demand a larger quantity of the other. Before deciding to go to a movie theater, consumer considers the price of a substitute such as streaming a movie online. The more expensive a trip to a movie theater is more likely that the consumer purchases a stream movie to watch at home instead. Complements are pair of goods or services for which an increase in the price of one causes a consumer to demand a smaller quantity of the other. Smartphones such as an iPhone or Samsung Galaxy and music purchased online and downloaded to the smartphones are complements. A decline in the price of smartphones increases the demand for online music. Consumers' tastes are important in determining the demand for goods or services. Consumers do not purchase food they dislike or clothes they view as unfashionable or uncomfortable. Information about the effects of a good has an impact on consumer decisions. Government rules and regulations affect demand. The network effect arises from the benefit of being part of a network and from the potential cost of being outside the network. The demand curve, the amount of a good that consumers are willing to buy at a given price, holding constant the other factors that influence purchases is the quantity demanded. Using a diagram, we can show the relationship between the price and quantity demanded. A demand curve shows the quantity demanded at each possible price. The estimated annual world demand curve D1 for coffee, which is one of the world's most valuable traded commodities. The vertical axis of the graph measures the price per unit of the good. We measure the price of coffee in dollars per pound. The horizontal axis measures the quantity Q of the good, which is usually a physical measure per time period. This figure measures the quantity of coffee in millions of tons per year. The demand curve hits the vertical axis at $12, indicating that the quantity demanded is zero when the price is $12 per pound or higher. The demand curve hits the horizontal axis at 12 tons, the quantity of coffee buyers would want each year if the price were zero. If the price of coffee is at 6, we draw a horizontal line from that price on a vertical axis until we hit the demand curve, and then we draw a vertical line down to the horizontal axis. The quantity demanded at a price of $6 per pound is 6 million tons per year. Law of demand. Consumers demand more of a good if its price is lower. A downward sloping demand curve illustrates that the consumer demands a larger quantity of this good when its price is low and a smaller quantity when its price is high. When happens to the quantity of coffee demanded if the price of coffee drops and all other remains constant. If the price falls from 6 per pound to $4 per pound, the annual quantity buyers want to purchase increases from 6 million to 8 million tons per year. Similarly, if the price drops from $4 to $2, the quantity buyers demand increases from 8 to 10 million tons. Fifth of the demand curve. If a demand curve shows how a price change affects the quantity demanded, holding constant all other factors that affect demand, how can we use demand curves to show the effects of a change in one of these other factors, such as income? A change in any relevant factor other than the price of a good causes a shift of the demand curve rather than a movement along the demand curve. This figure shows that the copy demanded curve shifts to the right from the original demand curve D1 to the new demand curve D2. If the average annual household income in high income countries which consumes most of the world's coffee increases by $15,000, that is from $35,000 to $50,000. Consumers demand more coffee at a given price that on D1 because income has risen, encouraging more customers to buy more coffee. At a price of $2 per pound, the quantity of coffee demanded goes from 10 million on D1 to the increase of 11.5 million tons on D2 after the increase. The demand function. We can represent information about how price, income, and other variables affect quantity demanded using a mathematical relationship called the demand function. This function shows the effect of goods' own price and other relevant factors on quantity demanded. For example, we could specify the demand for coffee as a function of the price of coffee, income, the price of tea, the price of sugar, and the prices of other related goods and possibly other factors as well. However, if we hold constant all potentially relevant factors except for the price of coffee P, the price of sugar of piece of S, and income Y, the demand function is Q, demand function of P, piece of S, and Y. The estimated demand function that corresponds to the demand curve shown earlier has the specific linear form Q is equal to 8.56 minus P minus 0.3 piece of S plus zero point 0.1 Y. We set piece of S as 20 cents per pound and Y as 35,000 per year. By substituting these values in the equation, we can express the quantity demanded as a function of only the price of coffee, which is Q is equal to 12 minus P. Setting the price of coffee at zero, the quantity demanded is 12 million tons. Likewise, if we set the price at $4, the quantity demanded is 8 million tons. If the price of falls from P1 to P2, the change in price, delta P, equals P2 minus P1. Substituting it in the equation, that will give us delta Q is equal to the negative of delta P. Let's feed actual values. If the price of coffee falls from $4 to $2, then the delta P will give you negative $2. Negative of delta P will give you 2, value of 2. That means that the decrease of $2 in prices causes the quantity demanded increase by 2 million tons per year. The change in quantity demand is positive. The quantity demanded increases when the price falls, and vice versa. Summing the demand curve. The total quantity demanded at a given price is the sum of quantity each customer demands at that price. At price P, consumer 1 demands Q1 units, consumer 2 demands Q2 units, and the total quantity demanded by both consumers is the sum of these two quantities. We can generalize this approach to look at the total demand for 3, 4, or more consumers, or we can apply it to groups of consumers rather than just to individuals. It makes sense to add the quantities demanded only when all consumers face the same price. Okay, now let's proceed to supply concept. Knowing how much consumers wants to buy at any given price is not enough by itself to tell us the market price and quantity. We also need to know how much firms want to supply at any given price. Usually, we expect firm to supply more at a higher price. Other players affecting supply are the cost of production, government rules and regulations. A supply curve displays the quantity supplied at each possible price, holding constant the other factors that influence the firm's supply decision. The quantity supplied is the amount of good that firms want to sell at any given price. Now, let's illustrate the supply curve. The supply curve is upward sloping. As the price increases, the firms supply more. If the price is $2 per pound, the quantity supplied by the market is 10 million tons per year. If the price rises to $4, the quantity supplied rises to 11 million tons. Effect of other variables in supply. A change in relevant variable other than the goods own price causes the entire supply curve to shift. One such variable is the price of cocoa, which is a major component in chocolate. The land on which the coffee is grown can also grow cocoa. When the price of cocoa rises, many farmers switch to producing cocoa. Therefore, when the price of cocoa rises, the amount of coffee produced at any given price for coffee falls. Looking at the figure, when the cocoa price increased from $3 per pound to $6 per pound, the supply curve for coffee shifts leftward from S1 to S2. At a price of $2 per pound of coffee, the quantity supplied falls from 10 million tons to 9.4 million tons on S2. It is important to distinguish between a movement along a supply curve and a shift of the supply curve. When the price of coffee changes, the change in the quantity supplied reflects a movement along the supply curve. When the price of cocoa or other variables that affect supply change, the entire supply curve shifts. The supply function. We can write the relationship between the quantity supplied and price and other factor as a mathematical relationship called the supply function. As a general functional form, we can write the coffee supply function S as Q is equal to S as a function of P and P sub C. The supply function might also incorporate other factors such as wages, transportation costs, and the state of technology, but by leaving them out, we are implicitly holding them constant. Our estimated supply function for coffee is Q is equal to 9.6 plus 0.5p minus 0.2 p of C. If we hold the cocoa price fixed at P of C at $3 per pound, we can rewrite the supply function as a solely function of the coffee price. Substituting P of C $3 into the previous equation will give you Q is equal to 9.5p minus 0.2 times 3 is equal to 9 plus 0.5p. Now, what happens to the quantity supplied if the price of coffee increases by delta P? As the price increases from P1 to P2, the quantity supplied goes from Q1 to Q2, so the change in quantity supplied is equal to zero point 0.5 delta P. Thus, a $1 increase in price causes the quantity supplied to increase by zero point 0.5 million tons per year. This change in the quantity of coffee supplied as P increases is a movement along the supply curve. Summing up the supply curve. The total supply curve shows the total quantity produced by all suppliers at each possible price. The overall amount of coffee supplied at any given price is the sum of quantity supplied by Brazilian, Vietnamese, Colombian, and other producers in various countries.
Good day, everyone. My name is Herbacio Gamay. I'll report on the topics market equilibrium and shocks to equilibrium. So first, let's discuss market equilibrium. Market equilibrium arises when no market participant has an incentive to change its behavior. In an unregulated supply and demand model, market equilibrium is a point, a price, and a quantity. The intersection of the supply curve and demand curve determines the market equilibrium. At the equilibrium price, the market for the good clears in the sense that the quantity of the good demanded by consumers exactly equals to the quantity of the good the suppliers supply to the market, which is the equilibrium quantity. Market equilibrium. To illustrate how supply and demand curve determine the equilibrium price and quantity, we use the coffee as an example. This graph shows the supply curve S1 and demand curve T1 for coffee. The supply and demand curve intersect at point E, which is the market equilibrium. Here on the graph, it shows that the market equilibrium price is $2 per pound, and the equilibrium quantity is 10 million tons per year, which is the quantity firms want to sell and quantity consumers want to buy. At the lowest price of $1 per pound, the quantity demanded is 11 million tons of coffee, but the quantity supplied only 9.5 million tons, so the excess demand is 1.5 million tons. On the other hand, the price of $3 per pound, it exceeds the equilibrium price. As a result, the market has an excess supply of 1.5 million tons because the quantity demanded of 9 million is less than the quantity supplied of 10.5 million. With either excess demand or excess supply, market forces drive the price back to the equilibrium price of $2. Shocks to equilibrium. A change in an underlying factor other than a good's own price causes a shift of the supply curve or demand curve, which alters the equilibrium. The equilibrium changes only if a shock occurs that shifts the demand curve or supply curve. These curves shift if one of the variables we were holding constant changes. Examples, if there are changes on income, government policies, or cost of production change, the demand curve or supply curve or both shift. For example, if the price of the coffee rises, we would expect the demand for tea, a substitute, to shift outward, putting upward pressure on the price of the tea and leading to increase in the quantity of a tea sold. Equilibrium effects of a shift of a demand or supply curve. On the first graph, A, what is the effect if there is a 15,000 increase in income? We will use again the coffee as an example. As a result, consumers purchase more coffee at any given price. Reflecting this change, the demand curve for coffee shifts to the right from D1 to D2. At the initial equilibrium price of $2, consumers now want to purchase 15,000 11.5 million tons of coffee per year. However, at that price, suppliers want to sell only 10 million tons, so the market has an excess demand of 1.5 million tons. This excess demand created market pressure, which drive the price up until it reaches a new equilibrium price of $3. At that price, firms want to sell 10.5 million tons and consumers want to buy 10.5 million tons, the new equilibrium quantity. So, the increase in income causes a shift of the demand curve, which in turn causes a movement along the supply curve from E1 to E2. On the next graph P, effects of a $3 increase in price of cocoa. The increase in the price of cocoa causes some coffee producers to switch to cocoa production. As a result, the supply curve for coffee shifts to the left from S1 to S2. The original equilibrium price of coffee is $2 per pound. Consumer still wants 10 million tons, but producers are now willing to supply only 9.4 million tons, so the market excess demand is zero point 0.6 million tons. Market pressure forces the price of coffee up until the market reaches the new equilibrium price of 2.40. Here, a shift of the supply curve results in a movement along the demand curve. In summary, a change in underlying factors such as income, the price of related good, land use, or the cost of production shifts the demand curve or supply curve. As a result, the equilibrium changes. That's all. Thank you.
Effects of government intervention. Governments often influence the balance in markets through three main policies. One, shifting supply, demand, or both curves, which changes the balance point. Number two, implementing price controls, leading to a mismatch between the quantity demanded and supplied. And number three, applying taxes or subsidies, creating a gap between the price consumers pay and what the seller receives. Policies that shift curves. Government actions like giving subsidies, money to help businesses, or setting rules can change how much people buy or how much businesses produce. This affects prices and the amount of goods available, which can help or hurt consumers and businesses depending on the policy. Price controls. When the government sets a maximum or minimum price for the products, it can cause problems. A price that's too low might lead to shortages, not enough goods, while a price that's too high can cause excess supply. These controls mess the natural balance of prices in the market. The price ceiling. It is a government imposed limit on how high a price can be charged for a product, often leading to shortages if set below the market equilibrium price. Take this graph for example. Price ceiling on gasoline. Reduced crude oil production is the major input in producing gasoline, causes the supply curve of gasoline to shift from S1 to S2. In an unregulated market, the equilibrium price would increase to P2 and the equilibrium quantity would fall to Q2. Suppose the government imposes a price control that the gasoline stations may not charge a price above the price ceiling. P of 1 is equal to the price ceiling. At this price, producers are willing to supply only Qs of S, which is less than the amount Q1 is equal to Qs of V that consumers want to buy. The result is excessive demand or a shortage of gasoline of QD minus QS. Now let's study price floor. Price floor is a government imposed minimum price for a product or services, which can lead to surpluses if set above the market equilibrium price. Take this graph for example. In the absence of minimum wage, the equilibrium wage is W asterisk, and the equilibrium number of hours worked is L asterisk. A minimum wage W is set above W asterisk, leads to unemployment, persistent excess supply because the quantity demanded LD is less than the quantity supplied L of S. Sales taxes. Equilibrium effects of a specific. Sales taxes are additional charges imposed by the government on the sale of goods and services. They increase the cost of products for consumers, leading to a decrease in the quantity demanded. Businesses often pass some of the tax burdens on consumers through higher prices, while also absorbing part of the cost themselves. Sales taxes can create a wedge between the price buyers pay and what sellers receive, reducing market efficiency and potentially discouraging consumer spending and business activity, ultimately lowering overall economic output and shifting both supply and demand curves in the market. Let's take this graph for example. The specific task of T equal to $2.40 per bushel of corn collected from producers shifts the pre-tax corn supply curve S1 up to the post-tax supply curve S2. The tax causes the equilibrium to shift from E1, determined by the intersection of S1 and D1, to E2, the intersection of S2 and D1. The equilibrium price, the price consumers pay increases from $7.2 to $8. The government collects tax revenue of P is equal to 27.84 billion per year.
Good day, everyone. For the supply and demand model, it is a power tool for understanding and predicting market behaviors. Despite its simplicity, it provides valuable insights, especially in highly competitive markets. Here's a summary of when and why to use this model. Key characteristics of competitive markets. Number one, many buyers and sellers ensures no single entity can control the market price. Imagine a bustling marketplace where no single entity can control the price. That's what we mean by having many buyers and sellers. Number two, identical products. All firms produce the same products, making them interchangeable. Think of it like buying apples, whether you buy from vendor A or vendor B. The apples are essentially the same. Number three, full information. All market participants have complete knowledge of prices and product characteristics. In ideal market, everyone knows everything about prices and product characteristics. And there's no secrets here. Number 4. Negligible transaction costs. Low costs associated with finding trading partners and making trades. It's like having no extra cost when you find a trading partner and make a trade, smooth and easy. Number 5. Easy market entry and exit. Firms can freely enter or exit the market promoting competition. Firms can come and go as they please, which keeps the competition alive and kicking.
Here's the summary of our report. Thank you very much for listening.